Hey, just give me 5 minutes to show you something amazing. In this video, either before or after a quick lesson full of traps, I'm going to be testing the Fianchetto Gambit in real games across different time controls. And I'm talking about 3-minute Blitz, 2-minute bullet, and ultra fast 1-minute bullet, or even less. But which time control truly favors the Fianchetto Gambit? Well, stick around, we'll find out against real opponents on leeches. Let's dive in. So, the Fianchetto Gambit. This usually arises from the modern defense after these opening moves, and sometimes it can also work against the queen's pawn game if white goes back to the e4 stuff. You just go pawn to f5, surprising their eyeballs. Now, before I continue with some interesting traps, say, what if white plays pawn to c4 on the second move? In the queen's pawn game. Or after pawn to g6 and pawn to c4, what I recommend to do is to go straight into the Mujana formation, or the Mujana formation, which I covered 2 days ago. Yes, the main line is to go bishop g7, knight f6, castle short, but hey, you just want to surprise your opponent, right? So go pawn to c5 right away, kind of the Benoni. Oftentimes your opponents are going to play d5, and this is when you can play pawn to f5. Once again, the Mujana formation, ladies and gentlemen, you just ensure to finish up your kingside development as quickly as possible before playing pawn to d6. Now, of course, this isn't about the Mujana formation. We are here for the Fianchetto Gambit. I just wanted to show you what to do if white plays pawn to c4 on move 2 when they play the queen's pawn game. Oftentimes, your opponents are going to play pawn to e4 when you respond with a modern gambit. Now wait, the question that begs to be answered is why playing pawn to f5? Watch. The idea is to let white take all of our kingside pawns as we do in the wing gambit or in the Benko Gambit for quick development. So after pawn takes, we now go pawn to d5, and after pawn takes, we take back with our h pawn. This looks dubious, but as you are going to witness later, you will see how strong players, even 2600s, struggle to beat the Fianchetto Gambit, you guys. The game plan from here is as follows. We develop our queen on d6 to prevent bishop f4, also defending our g6 pawn. And if white plays knight f3, we play bishop g4 to pin that knight. Pawn to h3 is a sheer waste of time, as white can't take our light squad bishop on g4 due to rook takes. Our queen's knight sits on c6 to support the upcoming pawn to e5 move in advance. Then our king's knight usually sits on f5 and the dark squad bishop on h6. Bingo! So let's see how that goes. Right, after pawn takes, you will see most of your opponents playing bishop d3, attacking that pawn. But after this, you just want to go queen d6, stopping bishop f4, also defending that pawn. If they play knight f3, now you know where to put your light squad bishop. So you will always be playing the same moves over and over. Pawn to h3, you do nothing about your bishop, so you go knight c6, attacking the d4 pawn. Most of your opponents are going to be playing pawn to c3, trying to hold on to that, but this is when you can play pawn to e5. Am I too fast? Yes, because I've covered this gambit a million times here on YouTube, so I don't want to waste your time. Today I just want to test this gambit in real games. So pawn takes, you go knight takes. They usually play bishop e2, and now this is when you want to release tension on the center after bishop takes. Oops, you don't want to lose your d pawn, so you just castle long, defending that indirectly. Most of your opponents are going to castle short, I don't know why. And now this is when you may continue playing whatever I showed you as I highlighted on the board. So I love starting with the move bishop h6, because next I want to go pawn to g5 and open up the king side. That'll be done after putting my king on b8. Simple plan. Instead of knight e7, sometimes I can play knight f6 and arrange my rooks like that. You will see how I beat most of my opponents with the Fianchetto Gambit once again. So that's the Fianchetto Gambit accepted. But there are instances where your opponents will be declining this gambit. Not that they know what they are doing really, but they are not just familiar with this crazy opening. So they will play moves like pawn to e5. Whenever you see these, just think of the Alapin defense. What do you do in the Alapin? You play pawn to d6, wanting to take. For example, after d6, your opponents will play pawn to f4 most of the times, after which you can safely take if you want. So like you do that, they won't take back with their d pawn due to queen takes. They don't want to lose their right to castle, so they usually take back with your f pawn. And now this is when you go pawn to e6. Watch. Your other pawn will sit on c6 to to stop pawn to d5, maybe even after pawn to c4, and then you will play knight e7 in the near future. That knight will sit on d5. Later, your bishop will go to g7, your king will go to f7. Don't forget to play pawn to h6 to stop bishop g5 or knight g5 in the near future. And how do you develop your queenside pieces? You play pawn to b5, maybe after pawn to s6, you play bishop b7, queen d7 maybe, and then figure out what you want to do with your life. You will see how I play this on the board. Sometimes instead of playing pawn to s6, you play knight s6 and bishop b7. Now it is time for me to test the Fianchetto Gambit. And hey, don't just watch. That's not encouraging at all. To keep this channel alive, you can simply share this video, hit the like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have nothing to say, just type "Thank you, Kaspa" in the comment section down below. Lastly, if you want to go through my study PGNs, such as the one I'm using in this study, you can visit my Patreon page. The link is in the comment section down below. Pawn to e4. So it is time for me to test the modern gambit again. d4, pawn to f5. No two ways about it. Take my pawn, I'll go pawn to d5. Okay, great stuff. This is now the modern gambit declined. So the plan from here is to go, if I remember very well, pawn to d6, inviting pawn to f4, kind of the Alapin stuff. Sooner or later, I'm going to play c6, e6, and then figure it out from there. Maybe that bishop g7, h6, so d6, and then pawn takes. Then from here, I go, can I play bishop e6? No, pawn to e6, and then I can play c6 if I want, but let me do this, and then h6 to stop knight g5. So my pawn is well defended. I can do this. Pawn to b5 is coming. So this is how you play the modern gambit declined. I have a square for my knight, by the way. I can go pawn to b5 now. f5 is coming also. And then what do? I think knight here, knight d5. Now I'm just improvising. What can't I do with this opening? Oh, let's do this. I don't even need to castle in this position. I just need to put my king on f7. It's the most secured king on earth. I want to play g5 and that next. There's no game on the beside. What is this move? I don't understand. I mean, I can just take if I want, right? But let me do that. Okay, that was the idea. But what if I just attack that queen? How? Or maybe let me play this move. Can't I trap this queen? Maybe if I do this and that. Yeah, like this. The queen is just trapped. Why? And how? What happened? Anyway, so let me go in with my rook. Rook on the second rank is always gold. Protect everything. What is this knight doing here? The game is still tricky though. I still need to work for my meal, if you think about it. Nah, I'm just joking. things are simplified. Can take. I think let me do this. Can't believe my opponent is trying to flag me. Let's attack that knight. Now there's this, right? This is literally checkmate with 18 seconds on the clock. Yeah, this is checkmate. What happened? Why? And how? Anyway, I think that was fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now you know how to play the Fianchetto Gambit declined. Let's move on to a 2-minute bullet match. Still watching without subscribing? Come on. The more you subscribe, the more you encourage me to do more and review more stuff. Anyway, let's go with the Fianchetto Gambit. I can still go pawn to f5. Then d5 and takes. Yeah, this is still playable. If bishop d3, I can still go queen d6. I mean, this is even faster if you think about it. I can do whatever I feel like. So knight c6. Knight c3, let's go s6 to stop knight b5 because I want to go queen d6. You know the strategy. Pawn to d4, this is getting back to the normal Fianchetto Gambit. Queen d6 also stops bishop f4 if you think about it, not just protecting the g6 pawn. And then look at this move. Bishop g4. We are back to the Fianchetto Gambit as we saw earlier. And all of a sudden the d4 pawn is under attack. If you think about it, I can take if I want. In fact, let me do that. Yeah, takes. Because I'm attacking the queen now. Aggressive chess. Look, my opponent just hung their queen. 2+1 casual bullet match. And I should mention to say my opponent should just resign now. So now let's exchange bishops. Nope. First put the king to safety. Put the king to safety. So now this is a different plan since my opponent has already lost, technically speaking. I'll play pawn to b5 if knight a4 for real. Yep, now let's do that. Nope. Let's take. And what else? Let's go full out or beam. I want to play c4. No two questions about it. I'm playing against a 2172 rated player. Let's give a check. And attack the rook, then win the knight. Yep. So attack the rook, win the knight. Also win the pawn. By this time of the game, my opponent should just resign. Yep. So that was a 2+1 casual bullet match, Fianchetto Gambit. Now let's move on to a 1-minute bullet match and see how the Fianchetto Gambit goes. Okay, let's go. The Fianchetto Gambit, pawn to f5. This is a 1+1 casual bullet match. Okay, there we see the declined version of this. Again, pawn to d6. So you always want to start with, you know, the Alapin, you know, opening moves. d6. That's just what I call the Alapin opening moves. So pawn to e6, paving the way for the knight. So knight e7. Now the knight will sit on d5 someday. So pawn to c6. Pretty much the same stuff. I need to play h6 by now. First bishop g7. I mean, I was late with this move, but there is still time. Yeah, so I'm just in time to do that. s6, b5 next. Okay, so now I have a great outpost. First, chase that knight away. Maybe play knight d7 now to stop knight b6 in the near future. Then this g5. You can see how I'm taking over slowly but sure. So there is this, but I have that. Bishop b7 first. Or maybe I should have played knight f4. Not until I got my e6 pawn with my king first. You don't even need to cast a shot. Yep. So pawn takes. Once again, let's attack that. I still have hope. Let's attack the queen. Would love to take. Continue marching to Zion. Just missed something there. Let's do this. This is too shaky. How did I win this? Okay, let me know which time control you like best for playing this opening. Now, go and check out 3 of my new courses on my website KaspaChess.com that I highly recommend you get right now. The newly updated Semi-Slav defense against d4, the Knight c6 Nimzowitsch defense, and the mighty e5 Paris defense, which is my best selling course till this date. Chess is a school on its own, and you will just need to show some efforts to unlock some secrets that content creators don't show on YouTube. And that's how you support this channel, by the way.